What's up guys, yes, McGann here, and I get a lot of questions wondering who my favorite god in Smite is, and I decided to resolve this. I'm going to do what a lot of other YouTubers have done for Smite and for other games as well, and that is going to be giving you guys a list of my favorite gods in Smite. It was initially supposed to be a top 10, but I actually made it down to top 5 because after 5 it was just so hard to decide who my favorite god in Smite was. So I'm going to do top 5 and then I'm going to do a few honorable mentions, but anyway, we're going to start off with number 5.
Sun Wukong.
So Sun Wukong is what I would call a jack of all trades god. He has a good amount of damage in his abilities, as well as a good amount of utility. He has a decent laning phase, as well as a decent teamfight phase. He's just good all around, and this is one of the reasons why I like him so much. This trait of his is mostly due to his third ability, 72 transformations, which allows him to turn into 3 different forms, Eagle, Tiger, and Ox, that all provide a different thing for Sun Wukong, allowing him to fill a lot of different roles in a team. Also, playing a monkey that bashes people in the head with a stick never really gets old. But there is one weapon more satisfying than using a stick, and that brings us to our number 4 favorite god,
Mercury!
I have to say, punching someone to death is probably one of the most satisfying things in the game to do, and Mercury does that best. He's one of the hardest carries in Smite, and during his prime, he can pretty much single-handedly carry his team and get multiple kills in team fights all by himself. His carrying potential mostly comes from his second ability, Maximum Velocity, which is such a great steroid. He doesn't have to build any attack speed, meaning he can straight up just build crit and power, which means your basic attacks hit like a truck, you're hitting really fast, so no one can really stand a chance. Even tanks have a tough time dealing with Mercury late game. I've also been a runner all my life, so Mercury is pretty relatable for me because he's all about moving fast and running all the time, which is what I used to do pretty much every single day. But yeah, so he's relatable and also a ton of fun to play. But he's not the first god that I truly connected to, and that goes to my number 3 favorite god,
Xbalanque.
It's hard to me to pinpoint what exactly makes Xbalanque such a joy for me to play. Well, I think his kit's cool, and being the hardest hitting hunter in the game is a cool title to have. Plus, even since release, I thought he was one of the best looking hunters in the game. But I described many other gods in the same manner that didn't even make this list. So I guess the main reason why I like him has to do with his release date. So Xbalanque came out in December 2012, which was 2 months after I had gotten my Smite account initially. However, I never really got to play too much because I had a Mac back then, and the one PC in my house was the big family computer, which I hardly ever got access to. But then Christmas break came around, and I was able to play so much Smite, and Xbalanque came out during this time, and he was the first god I ever bought with favor. Of course, I have the god pack now, but back then that was not the case, and I instantly picked him up and played him so much, and that's probably the main reason why I like this god so much. It's just so much history with him. In fact, my very first Smite video that you can actually find on this account, it might be my very first video now, is a Xbalanque arena gameplay. It's really cringy and hard to watch, but yeah, that was my first video on my laptop, which allowed me to record some Smite gameplay. So yeah, a lot of history with Xbalanque, and that's probably the main reason why I love this god so much. Although I have a lot of history with Xbalanque and it seems really hard to top, there is one more god that I arguably have even more history with, and that is going to be my second favorite god,
Osiris.
It's pretty crazy having this god as my second favorite god in Smite, because for such a long time, he was my favorite god, probably for longer than any other god on this list. And as I said earlier, I probably have even more history with this god than Xbalanque, and Xbalanque's been out since 2012, which is insane, but we're gonna go over some little things that I like about Osiris before we go straight into the meat of why I love this god so much. So the first things I love about Osiris are his passive and his attack chain. They work so well together. He's able to pick up items such as Death's Toll and Shin Size and get so much out of them, and with the Death's Toll, you're able to play really aggressive in lane because of your passive, and you're able to get a lot of sustain with the Death's Toll and get a lot of damage out. It's such a great combination in lane, making him one of the best bullies in the game, if not the best lane bully against other warriors. I also really love Death's Toll and Shin Size, so Osiris being able to build those items very well is definitely a plus for me. I also love the idea of just running at someone. Osiris is a god who's great at this because he's extremely intimidating, really scary, and he's just going to be sprinting and running down your back line and just doing so much damage as well as being extremely tanky. I think that comes from me playing League of Legends because I used to play a lot of Olaf and I just loved running down the back line with that ultimate because he just did so much damage. And Osiris plays in a similar style whenever he's running down the back line. Of course, you can't be stopped by walls when your passive's going, and you do have a CC immunity ult, so you're able to dodge a lot. It's just a lot of fun to play with him and with that play style. But now we'll go into a little bit more of the historical reason of why I love this god. So about a little over a year before Osiris came out, I stopped playing Smite as much because I wanted to focus on League of Legends. Plus, like I said earlier with the family computer, I wasn't really able to play too much of it. So obviously League of Legends was the way to go for me because they had a Mac version, which I don't think it was the Mac version that was out yet. but they did have a port for it that was really nice. So I used to play just a lot of League of Legends and played that instead. But then I saw Osiris come out, and I just decided that I had to make a change and I had to play some more Smite, because Osiris was one of the coolest gods that I've ever seen in a game, actually. I should probably say one of the coolest heroes I've ever seen in a game, as he was everything I wanted to see in a jungler, which Osiris came out as a jungler initially. He had a lot of damage, but he was tanky, as well as he had AoE attacks, wasn't super mobile, but he just ran at people, which, like I said earlier with the Olaf thing, I really liked that playstyle. So I started really getting into Smite again, and once he came out, I just got him and then instantly purchased the god pack, because I knew I was going to be playing Smite from now on after I got this god. And then later that year, of course, I got my laptop, which allowed me to record some gameplays, and Osiris has been one of my favorite gods since. I honestly feel like I should be giving Osiris more playtime. I feel kind of bad when I see him just sitting there, no worshippers being gained, because I got him at like 2k or 3k or something like that, I don't know, and I just don't play him that much anymore. But that's because there's one more god who does something similar that I just love above him, and I love above all the other gods in the game by a pretty wide margin. And it's going to be pretty hard for Osiris to make another god that I like this much. And you know what? I'm not even mad about that, because to me, this god is nearly perfect for what I was looking for. But before we get into that, here's some honorable mentions of gods that I really enjoy, but I couldn't quite get on this list.
Ooh, Hercules, so back.
Rom. Now for the god that I would play if I was forced to play one more god for the rest of my Smite career. The god that I think fits my playstyle perfectly. The god that I have the most worshippers with. And the god that has my favorite skin.
Raavan.
I've always been a huge fan of Raavan. Even when he came out and he was considered extremely weak and just not viable in any role in any game mode, I thought he was a ton of fun to play, and I even got him all the way to rank 10 during that era before he got his rework, so I've always been a huge fan of Raavan. His kit's supposed to remind you of a fighting game kit, and it does that perfectly. You feel like you're really in the fight and you're beating people up just like you would in a fighting game. You feel like you have a lot of 1v1 potential as well. In team fights, he doesn't even do too poorly, and he's really annoying for hunters to deal with or mages to deal with in the later stages of the game. I said I liked him before the rework, but after the rework, they made him nearly perfect. In my opinion, Raavan has one of the best designed kits in the game. Everything fits what he's supposed to be doing and fits his role perfectly. And keeping with the fighting game theme, he has some of the greatest outplay potential in the game, especially for warriors, probably the most for warriors, because of that second ability. Overhead kick allows him to dodge an ability, and you can do crazy things, like you can dodge Loki ultimates, you can dodge Owilish's feather step, and you can just get out of so many situations with this ability. Attack canceling is also a huge part of Raavan's kit, which makes him feel even more like a fighting game character, because you're not only trying to hit people with your basic attacks or your abilities, you're trying to weave them together to kind of make these cool combos, which allows you to get a lot more damage off in trades, as well as allows you to kill squishies really quickly. So those are my top 5 favorite gods in Smite, and probably the main reason why I keep coming back to this game for more. I actually enjoyed making this video a lot more than I thought I would, so if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to leave a like down below, and in the comment section, put your top 5 favorite gods as well. And as always, this has been the S McGann. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.